Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Kindred Souls of Brooklyn. And folks, today I want to talk about a trend that's happening more and more as we look at the attendance in Walt Disney World. You know, you might not know this, but the Walt Disney World actually accounts for about 1/3 of the profit of the Disney company. They make movies, they make Broadway shows, they make all kinds of different things. And I think I know the reason why the crowd attendance is going down, apart from the fact that it's a lot of money to go there. It's also because Disney has lost the cultural edge in terms of winning the hearts and minds of the people out there who used to support it. So stay tuned for a cool video. I think it'll be very interesting. So what is the issue now with attendance at the Magic Kingdom? I mean, we all know that it's very expensive to go to the Magic Kingdom. I mean, they have a few days, $105 a day. Those are few and far in between, but essentially we're talking $179 to $189 just for a single park ticket. But I think the real problem that we're looking at, and a friend of mine recently, not too far ago, became a bus driver for Walt Disney World. And one of the things he noted to me was when he was on the bus going for the tour, which, you know, if you go to Traditions and they take you into the Utilidor and you have lunch at the Mouseketeria, he noticed that out of all the people coming on the bus, which was maybe like 25 people or so, out of all those people, maybe about 20 out of the 25 had never even been to Magic Kingdom before. And a lot of them were excited to go. And I think herein lies the problem. When I was younger, not that far ago, it seems like we were more familiar with the park. And I think I'm comparing this now to baseball, me being a big baseball fan. You know, if you think about things that the Major League does, they go to places, they go to poorer areas, they build baseball fields. They really try to encourage people watching the game. And this, they noticed a trend back in the day when they saw that less people were watching and were being involved. And I think this is a problem on Disney's part in that, I, for one, don't think they do enough for the community at large. I think, there's a rich community in the Orlando area, people who live in Celebration, people who live in, more of the high-end areas in the area. But the city proper, I think Disney could do a much better job going to schools, going to, maybe building some art schools, maybe spending some money in the local community, because I feel like that's the grassroots of where you're going to build people who want to work at your park, people who want to come to your park if they're successful. And I think that's what Disney is losing. I think they've tried to go international, yeah, we do have a lot of international people coming to Orlando, but I think one of the things that Disney has to do is they have to really focus on basically people coming and, from the local areas. And the local areas, not meaning Orlando only. You're talking about Birmingham, you're talking about areas in Georgia, you're talking about anywhere that would consider to be a driving distance to Disney. And I think this is what they're losing or have lost. And this is why people today don't really feel the same way. I know when I first started working at Magic Kingdom, even though we lived in New York, we were able to come to Disney at least once a year, maybe sometimes twice a year if we saved our money. But what that did was, when I became a cast member, I already knew the park. I knew, I had to learn the Utilidor, I had to learn the inner workings of the company, but the actual park proper, I knew where the restrooms were, I knew how the rides worked, I knew where people could find strollers. Why? Because I had been there so many times before. And I think this is the shortcoming that Disney has these days, is that they've lost the hearts and minds of regular people. And I think Disney as a company, and hopefully someone from Disney is watching this, in that they need to go out and do what Major League Baseball did. Go out and start, Disney has so many resources, film and music, and they could go to these local schools and really have a presence. I don't really know exactly how many free tickets Disney gives away per year, but from what I could see, it's not that many. I can't remember the last time I went to Disney and met a group of kids coming from a school in the area and, learning to love the park and just coming in. I think this is where they've really gone off the rail, and this is something that they have to fix. And, until they do, you're going to see these negative declines because, it's you have to learn how to, I don't know, there's no learning to love something, but if you're familiar with something and you have positive memories towards something, I think you want to work there. That's how it was for me. But I know for a fact that if they reached out to more of these local schools, more of these local areas, I think it would set the trend for people wanting to work there, wanting to bring their children there. And for most regular people, it's out of reach. And, if anybody comes to the Orlando area, I mean, more and more with, Universal expanding, with Disney expanding, people don't really venture out anymore beyond the resort. But if you go beyond the resort, if you go out on 192 or you go out into the local areas, you're going to see it's a rough area. There's a lot going on there and a lot of downtrodden people. A lot of the cast members, this is something that a lot of people don't know. A lot of the cast members who work at Disney sleep in their cars. They live in these cast member hotels. And this is something that Disney has to change and they have to work on. And until they do, I think they're seeing the results of this, of not really taking care of their own backyard. And this is something that Disney really needs to do. And once they do, I think, it's going to take a little while. I think in order to get these crowds back, Disney's kind of like, in a way, also like the American car industry who, in the 70s said, hey, you know what? We could turn out a broken car, and because people are loyal to America, they're still going to buy American. They're not going to buy German cars. They're not going to buy Japanese cars. Well, guess what? The World War II generation got older. They stopped driving. They passed away. And the generations later on didn't feel the same way. And they essentially didn't want a broken car. So the Germans and Japanese were turning out good cars. So all of a sudden you started seeing people driving Toyotas and driving all kinds of other vehicles which weren't American. And look at the situation today. The American car industry is a shadow of what it used to be. So this is what Disney has to do. Disney, if you're listening, go out to some local schools. You know what you have to do. Start some art programs. Make some kind of fingerprint in the community and communities at large. And I would say just start locally. Start within a 2 or 3 hour driving distance. And you're going to win the hearts and minds of people. And, and not only, this isn't like a trick. This isn't like a thing. This is something they should do. Rather than paying some of these executives $20, $30 million a year. I mean, they don't need that kind of money. I mean, look, they worked hard. I respect them. But, you could spend that money much wiser than going out and wasting a ton of money on some of these projects. And, look, we all love Disney. I bleed Disney. But if you look at how Disney makes movies, they waste a lot of money on taking a bunch of people out to, if they're making a movie, they'll take them to Finland, let's just say, and all expenses paid and, expensive buffets every day. And, these are the things they have to cut back on. Put that money into the community and it will come back to you tenfold. And you'll have cast members who love the company, who stay in the company. I mean, another trend that people might not realize, I have a friend who works in costuming, and basically he was saying that it costs about $500-$600 every time you bring a cast member in, between costuming and training and all kinds of things like that. So if you have someone who doesn't really love the company, they're not going to stay. So imagine all the money that's wasted in people who come in and discover, hey, you know what? This wasn't the company that I thought it was. You're not going to have that situation for people who know and love the company. So anyway, this is Al signing off for my thoughts on the day. And essentially it all comes back to loving the company and wanting to see it go back to where it used to be, where it was a company in the hearts and minds of America and the world. So hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time on Kindred Souls of Brooklyn. Take care, folks. Love you.